Mic check, 1, 2, mic check. Holy shit. Welcome to the first episode of It's Been a Week. This is season 1, episode 1, and holy shit. What is up, everyone? Welcome to It's Been a Week. I'm your host, Ben McDonald, and this is your weekly dose of whatever the hell just happened. I cannot believe this is happening. This idea for a podcast has been in the back of my mind for a very long time. And I've always, played around with these ideas and I've just thought of stuff and I've never done it. So you know what? Sometimes you just have to fucking do it. So anyone that is listening, that has an idea, that has a dream, that has something in the back of their mind, this is your sign to fucking do it. Just do it. The amount of time we spend not doing things or talking about things or having all these ideas, but we never have the follow through, just fucking do it. Even if it's going to suck. This podcast may fucking suck. No one might listen, actually. And that could happen. Just do it. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. Just start now. Do it. Do something. Okay? That's my little advice for the week. There you have it. This podcast, it's going to be a wild ride because I've been an actor for 15 years, which is a struggle all in itself. I'm a barrel racer in Texas, which if you don't know what that is, it's racing around on horses. And I'm a 250-pound, 6'3" dude running against 100-pound girls. So let me tell you, that's not easy. And I'm also a photographer. I shoot headshot photography, and I've kind of become the number one headshot photographer in Dallas. And that's fucking cool. This podcast is going to be all about what happens every week. It's going to be everything. So you are going to hear people on this podcast from world champion barrel racers, billionaires, celebrities, top horse trainers, to some of my friends who are just like really fucking funny. People who have just like gone through some shit. I've also gone through some shit. So we're going to talk about things, but nothing on this podcast is going to be too heavy. Everything is going to be lighthearted, and we're going to make a joke of it. Even if the situation sucks, even serious shit that sucks, we're going to make light of it. We're going to make a joke out of it, because if you can't laugh at shit, then what the fuck, right? So for my first guest on It's Been a Week, I really went back and forth. This was one of the hardest decisions, because I was like, I got to come out of the gate with a bang. Who's going to be the first one? Am I going to do some celebrity? Am I going to get a housewife? Am I going to get, a friend that has a shit ton of followers to try to get the word? Like, who needs to be the first guest? And I'd asked some people, and some people were down. Some people, acted like they would and wouldn't follow through, which is, people show their true colors, which is totally fine. And then it hit me. I was like, my first guest needs to be AJ. AJ is my partner. And for those of you who do know us, you know that we are complete opposite people. And for those of you who don't know us, I need to lay the groundwork and the foundation of how the fuck we ended up in Texas. I need to lay some, like I said, some groundwork for our life and how we fucking got here. And then moving forward, each week we'll be able to dive into shit that happens during the week, the crazy bullshit, some of the people who live in this town, or around the world, honestly. And, then we'll dive into all that stuff. But for this first episode, I really want to just kind of give you an introduction to who I am and AJ and how we ended up on a ranch with 70 animals from LA to Texas. It's a wild ride. So get ready. I'm so excited you're here. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening. I hope you continue to listen. I hope you tell all your friends to listen. And this is season 1, episode 1 of It's Been a Week. AJ Sarcioni, welcome to the very first episode of It's Been a Week.
Thank you for having me. Are you drinking a martini?
Yeah.
You didn't offer me one?
You didn't ask for one.
Ben, it took an hour to set this thing up. I've been sitting here. You said it was going to be a half an hour recording.
Okay, well, we're working out some kinks. It's the fucking first episode, so if you could just give me a fucking break.
Well, let me make a suggestion. You should also have a martini for your guest.
Okay, well, you can add that to the fucking suggestion box, okay?
Please. I would love to add it.
Yes. Okay, so you must feel fucking honored to be my very first guest on It's Been a Week.
So honored.
Yeah, you should be.
So honored. No, I really am. I'm proud of you. This is going to be amazing. I know everyone loves listening to you bitch and moan on Instagram, so I can only imagine how excited they are for this podcast.
I mean, look, I don't know if everyone loves it.
You told me everyone's constantly replying and giving you all this feedback. Wasn't that the inspiration for this?
I suppose, well, you know what?
I mean, let the people know. This is not just about you. This is about the community. This is everyone building this with you.
No, this is an opportunity for me to call out the fucking bullshit that happens all the time.
No, you just like to complain about everything. Sometimes you just got to like breathe through it. Let people be who they are.
I don't think I like to complain. I think that I'm good at it. I think I can call shit out. I think I say things that everyone's thinking, but no one has the balls to say.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it's complaining. I think I'm very observant.
Well, two things. One is you do love to voice your opinion. And the second is I recently read this thing. I can't remember. It was maybe someone that's a scientist or something. This is just going to make this even better as I set this up.
Science.
Basically, they were saying people who like to talk about drama more have higher IQs. I'm not really sure if this was from The Onion or if it's actually fact, but if it's true, your IQ must be out of the world.
Yeah, so let's go with it. I'm going to say that it's factual. I also read an article, and by reading an article, I mean I read a headline, and by reading a headline, I mean I saw a meme. But
on TikTok.
Yeah, well, no, it was probably on Instagram if it was a meme. But it basically was saying we used to think people who swear a lot were not as intelligent.
I thought we thought they were more intelligent.
No, they said people who back in the day, like, I don't know, 2000s, they said if you swear a lot, they said that if you swear a lot, you're not that smart because like you don't, your vocabulary is not wide enough to use better adjectives. That's been debunked because now they're saying people who swear a lot are actually more intelligent, and I could not fucking agree more.
Okay, well, I know I'm a little bit older than you are, but I can assure you for a much longer time, they've been saying that people who swear more are more intelligent. So I think you need to find a new meme account because they're just giving you old shit and repurposing it, making you feel like it's new.
Listen, I'm not here to fact check shit. I'm just here to call it for how it is.
Oh, it's been a week and I'm going to voice my opinion.
So I think the main reason why, I went back and forth on who I was going to have as my first guest, which you're welcome.
Thank you.
But I think this is an important episode because we really need to like lay the groundwork and like the whole foundation of how the fuck we ended up in Texas and how we ended up together. I think for people, a lot of people, hopefully people listening know us, but for people that don't know us that are listening, I feel like we just need to like explain how the fuck this happened.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's tell everyone our story.
Let's take this back to 2019. Oh. I'm going to start this way back in the very first time we ever met.
Okay.
So I used to be a complete SoulCycle cult member, and I had met some friends there. Shout out to Paige and Marissa. And we went to dinner one night at this restaurant called Conservatory at the time.
Yeah.
Which I don't think it's still there anymore. It was in West Hollywood. We're at dinner. I think there was like 6 of us. I think I was the only guy. I think it was a bunch of girls.
I think you might be right.
Yeah. So we're sitting there at dinner and whatever. And I was still dating someone, which was awful. And then.
So was I.
Yeah. And Marissa's like, oh, this guy's going to come by and say hi. And I didn't really think anything of it. So in walks AJ, and he doesn't really say much. And I was like, who is this awkward fuck? And that was kind of the end of it. I was like, okay, like.
I came and said hello. I was polite and I was intrigued. And I just sat there and observed. Unlike you, who seems to have something to say about everything.
Well, I was like, okay, like whatever. So cut to what, 3-4 months later.
Yes.
I'm single, AJ's single, and we don't decide. Paige decides that she's going to take a group of people to Knott's Berry Farm. Our friend Paige loves to go to theme parks, usually Disney, but sometimes she'll throw in Universal or Knott's Berry Farm. She'll throw in a plot twist. But we go to Knott's Berry Farm. I was in Vegas the weekend before for like 2 or 3 days, going bananas, going fucking wild.
I was in Mexico City.
Yeah, so we were different places of the world. I was newly single. I was like, fuck it. I think I went and saw Kygo. I was like going wild. I missed my flight back to LA Sunday night. Some random dude booked me a flight. Like, he took my phone. I'm like, I need to get back to LA. He like put me on a flight the next day.
Random dude.
At like 6 a.m. And I'll never forget because I was so drunk.
I just would like to pause for a second for the audience. Let's just all think about, how does a random dude get your phone during the evening prior to you flying back and book a flight?
No, it really was. No, we were actually at a pool party. I was on stage with the microphone. I don't know. Somehow it became my pool party. And no, I literally just handed the phone to some guy. It wasn't like that. I swear. It really wasn't like that.
Okay.
Anyways, this guy booked me on a fucking Southwest flight, which I had never flown Southwest, nor have I ever flown into Burbank. So I get to the airport and I'm like, there's no flights to LAX. Like, what the fuck is happening? And I'm like still wasted from the night before. And the gate agent is like, or the ticket person is like, you're going to Burbank. And I was like, oh, that's actually a little more convenient because that's much closer to where I need to go. And rushing through security, it's literally like final boarding call. And I'm like, shit. So I get on the flight and I go to the flight attendant and I go, where's my seat? And he just kind of looked at me. And then he kind of like pointed to the plane. And I'm like, yeah, okay, but which seat am I in? It's not on my ticket. And he's like, sir, this is Southwest. You pick your own seat. And I went, excuse me? You know what happens when you're the last person on the plane for a Southwest flight? You end up in the fucking back in the middle row. So I get to the back of the plane. I'm so drunk. I'm sure I'm sure people can like smell the vodka seeping out of me.
I'm sure they could.
I'm like, oh, fuck's sake. So luckily, Vegas to LA is like a 20-minute flight.
Did you drink on the plane?
No, I don't think they offered it because there wasn't enough time to get to the back of the plane. They start offering it in the front.
Normally you get on a plane and immediately you're like, can I get a drink?
Well, yeah.
We get on a flight at 6:55 in the morning. Can I get a drink?
Okay, but it's at 6:55. Vacation has started.
And you're always like, do you want a drink? I'm like, no, I don't want a drink.
And I'm
why don't you want a drink? Because I don't want one.
So then I'm just a party of one, which I don't have a problem with, actually. Kind of similar to right now.
This is true. Also, by the way, I just would like to stop for 1 second. We were talking about like how we've been together for all these years. We totally miss the fact that like it's a whole new year, by the way. So like we're talking about 2019, it's 2025. Like we get to say now we've been together like a whole other year, which I think is really cool. So Happy New Year to everyone.
And that's the final Happy New Year I want to hear. Because it's over. It is the new year. We have all come into this together. There's no point. We get it. It's the fucking new year. It happens every fucking year.
Listen, let people celebrate. Give them a chance.
You can celebrate. You can celebrate New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, and I'll give you 2 bonus days after New Year's.
2 bonus days?
You're still allowed to say Happy New Year.
People who celebrate their birthday all month long, let us celebrate New Year at least a couple weeks.
Absolutely not.
Okay, I'm going to remember that when your birthday comes around.
Birthdays are different. That's an individual
2 days. 2 days, no. Apparently.
Birthdays are an individual experience. New Year, it's a collective. Everyone's going into it fucking together. We get it. Anyways, back to my flight. I'm on the Southwest flight, sitting in the back row. And luckily, when we landed, there was like a malfunction with the door. So they're like, we're going to have to deboard from the back of the plane. And I was like, holy shit, great. Get off the plane. I left my suitcase in Vegas with my friends. I'm like, you guys have to bring this back because I'm like, I got to get to this Knott's Berry Farm. So I'm literally taking Uber from the airport to our friend Paige's house. I think I'd stopped at 7-Eleven and got because there's no liquor stores open. So I got like a $3 bottle of wine.
Yeah, I think I remember you showing up with your barefoot or whatever.
Yeah, I showed up to this giant, gorgeous mansion. I'm like, oh, wow. Okay, well, here's something. So we get on the...
No, actually, that was the funniest because I know we're jumping ahead, but that's okay. We arrived. I saw him. Marissa and I arrived together. I had just gotten back the evening before from Mexico City. We arrive, and Ben's getting out of his Uber as we're getting out of our Uber. And back to when he said I was awkward at the restaurant, it's because I thought he was attractive. And like, sometimes I get quiet when I'm trying to observe and enjoy and see where things go.
We must not think about tractor anymore because now you were shut the fuck up.
So we get out of our car. He is getting out of his car. I'm like, oh, there's that cute guy. And we walk into the house and he's carrying this bottle of wine. And it was hysterical because we walk in and Paige's house manager takes the wine and he's like, Ben's like, oh yeah, here, I brought some wine. And her house manager's like, oh, thank you. I swear he must have walked to the back and been like, what do we do with that?
They threw it away for sure. So we get on the bus. This is a party bus. I'd say there's like, 15 of us?
Yes.
And the only people I knew at this point, which is so funny because now we're such good friends with all of them that were on that bus. But this point, I only knew Paige and Marissa. So I'm like, I don't know who's gay. I don't know who's straight. I don't know who's together, who's not together. So I'm just going to sit here, drink my champagne, not the one I brought, and eat the breakfast. And
we sat next to each other.
Yeah. And you sat on one side and our friend Blaine sat on the other side. And I sat and just told the whole story about how shitty of an airline Southwest Airlines is.
And mind you, I'm sitting there being like, I feel like someone on this bus might be a flight attendant. But I couldn't really figure it out. And then I was like, what is it, Blaine? I think it's Blaine. And then I started going, oh, I wonder if he's a flight attendant for Southwest. As you continue to berate Southwest Airlines.
I'm like, this fucking airline, you can't pick a seat. I got in the back of the plane.
Blaine is so sweet, and he's just sitting there and nodding and listening. Doesn't say anything. He's so kind.
I don't think I found out until months later that he was a Southwest flight attendant.
Yeah.
Whoops, sorry. So we get to the theme park, and, at a theme park, you kind of have to buddy up a little bit because most of the rides and the roller coasters are two people. So you buddy up and partner up. Somehow we ended up on pretty much every single...
Somehow.
Yeah, but from the beginning, every ride together. And I was like, this is interesting. And so we just kind of kept going throughout the day, and all things it was great. Then we went to dinner that night, and I think I went to the bathroom.
You did.
And Paige looked at you.
Yeah, and was like, is this a thing? Is this happening? And I was like, I think it is. Which was awesome. And so then we were the last ones there with Paige. She went home and...
Oh, no. Yeah. But then AJ goes, do you want to come home and meet my dog?
Yeah, I lived right down the street and it was like, my dog was everything. So I was like, why don't you want to come meet my dog, Hendrik?
And I said, no.
Well, I mean, it wasn't that late at night. I mean, it had been a long day, but it wasn't that late at night, if I recall.
No, I think it was 9, 10 o'clock.
Yeah, it wasn't that late.
But you're like, do you want to come meet my dog? And I said, no. I said, but you can take me on a date tomorrow. I said, I'm free around noon. And he goes, well, I have a second date with a doctor. And I said, well, I would cancel that if I were you because your time with me is expiring.
Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, well, that's good. I'm going to order a car. Actually, I think I had already ordered it and it was arriving. And this black SUV pulls up and I say, you need to get your own car if you're going home, but I'll wait with you. So I tell the driver, can you please wait? I just want to make sure he gets in his car. Okay. And he's like, yeah. And so Ben had at this point ordered his vehicle, but we're waiting.
Mind you, we were in West Hollywood. I lived in fucking Glendale. It was a hike.
Yeah, it was a hike.
I was like, look, the night is over. I've had a few drinks. I don't need to take a black SUV. I will just take an Uber X.
No, I'm pretty sure it was a Lyft. And I know it was a Lyft because the Lyft arrived and it had the big light on the front that said Lyft. And there was eyelashes on the car. Mind you, it was a Prius, not the nice, big Prius. It was that teeny little Prius that they made for 5 seconds. And it had the eyelashes. It had a billboard on the top. One of those
rotating.
It was like Vegas on top of this car. Everything. There was just lights everywhere and eyelashes. And then I was inside just laughing. I'm like, you want to go home? Well, that's a cute ride. He opens the door. And I kid you not, I'm pretty sure it was Christmas music playing in the middle of May, whenever. And there was a disco ball inside with the lights spinning. It was colorful. It was hysterical.
I opened the door and I'm like, can we cut the music and the fucking lights? I mean, it was instant karma.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Instant karma.
I was like, good night.
But we did the next day go on. So you canceled the doctor.
I canceled the doctor.
We went on the date.
We did lunch.
Which turned into lunch to happy hour. Shopping.
Happy hour.
To dinner, I think.
Dinner. And then you met Hendrix.
Oh.
Yeah. Didn't we come to your place? Or did you come to mine? And then we went to your place?
That first night?
I think so. I'm pretty sure. And I arrived at your place and I walked in And I started looking around and there's like just all these pictures of you. Like, I love art. Our house has some really fun art in it.
I
And
think it is art.
Ben's apartment was just all his art was of himself. Ben with a dolphin, Ben on a horse, like just pictures of Ben everywhere. And so,
pretty great.
Yeah, that evening I spent the night. I woke up the next morning and rolled over to realize that by the bedside is another picture of Ben, a big, massive, like 20 by 24 or whatever, of Ben in a shower.
It was actually a 56 by 48.
Oh, okay. Well, it was massive. And I'm like, oh my God, what the hell is this?
I was like, if you miss me, you can turn to your left or to the right. I'll be on both sides. Don't you worry.
You just are that into yourself, apparently, that you need pictures of yourself all around.
I don't think that that's into myself. I don't know if that's the proper terminology.
What is it? You're proud of yourself?
Yeah, it was art.
I think it's great, actually. But what I find humorous is that once we ended up moving in together, you were like, can I hang my art? It's like, what art?
Actually, I don't think I asked. I think I started to do it.
Yeah, I was like, that isn't happening.
Like, that's not going to work.
I mean, I love you and I love the way you look, but we don't need like life-size photos of you. The real thing's great.
Well, agree to disagree. The good thing is now I have a photo studio and I do have my giant photos displayed in my photo studio, but it makes sense because it's a photo studio.
It's true.
We very quickly then...
And there's a picture of you in our bedroom. You made that happen.
Yeah. But it's me on a horse. It's me barrel racing on a horse.
Yeah.
So it's cool. So we pretty much became lesbians pretty quickly because we then, it was like a week later, he had to go to Aruba for a bachelorette.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, do you want to go? And I said, no. I'm like, I'm not going to be the next Nally Holloway.
I was like, come on, you sure you don't want to go? I must have asked you 3 times. And by the third time you broke down and were like, yeah.
Well, no, I was a bitch. I was like, okay, fine, I'll go, but I only fly first class.
You did say that. And what was funny is I was going with this group of girls and I knew quite a few of them, but I didn't know all of them. And so I asked one of my best friends, these are college friends, who all's going, how many people, how many rooms do you have? And when I found out that they only had a handful of rooms and there was a lot of people and there'd be like 4 or 5 girls in each room, I'm thinking, well, if I go and have my own room, then people are going to want to stay in it with us. And like, I don't want that to happen. I'm trying to bring this guy with me to Aruba. Like, I want to have a nice time. So I was going to get this nice oceanfront room using all my points. And then I'm thinking they're really going to want to stay in the room. So I started looking up and we were going to be staying at this Marriott. Well, next door to the Marriott is a Ritz-Carlton. For the same amount of points that I could stay in this like oceanfront suite, I was able to get the bottom rack room at the Ritz-Carlton. And I was like, you know what? It's better. We'll be at the hotel next door. We can have privacy. Fine. And so I booked this room at the Ritz-Carlton. And then I was thinking, well, I want to make this special for him. So how can I do that? So I went on LinkedIn and I found the hotel manager and got their information and figured out how the Ritz-Carlton email system worked and emailed this person. And I was like, I'm coming to Aruba. I'm bringing my partner. We've been together like a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks at this point. And I was like, it's his birthday, which it really was. And I was like, I really want to make it special. So if there's anything you can do to help me, I would really appreciate that. And can you help me arrange car service? Because I obviously didn't want to just be like mooching off this person and being like, can you do free shit? Like, I really genuinely was like, how can I make this special? And I wanted them to realize it. So she writes back and she's like, here's the car service. You can book it and blah, blah, blah. And let me know, like, what is your partner's favorite things? Like, what are his favorite colors? Like, is there anything special that you can let me know? And so I like only know Ben for 2 weeks. So I'm like, oh my gosh, what do I know about him? Well, I knew he loved fish and I knew that he loved Finding Nemo. So I started sending that and some other things, only to find out that when we arrive in Aruba, they say, Mr. Sarcione, your room's not ready yet, but I assure you it's worth the wait. And I was like, okay. So they're like, why don't you go to the bar and have some drinks on us? I was like, okay, this is fabulous. Like, how lovely. So we went and we sat at the bar and we had some drinks and then they came and got us and said, your room's ready. We're walking to the room and I'm pretty sure people already started to go, hi, Ben, happy birthday.
No, we'd be like walking through the hallways and like the staff's like, happy birthday, Ben. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Like they knew him.
It's like my face plastered all over this place.
Like, this is cool. they take us to an oceanfront executive suite. Mind you, I still only have given my points for this rack room. And we have this gorgeous room. We walk in, there's balloons, there's like pastries, there's snacks. It's just like already fabulous. And clearly they've made it special for us. They've upgraded us significantly. Like, it was already amazing. This whole trip just kept getting better and better. On his actual birthday, they brought in a whole cake of Finding Nemo with fondant, like characters all over it. It was just exceptional. More balloons. He went and had a photo shoot in the water with all his balloons. Like, we had the time of our lives. And I literally was so thankful for this hotel manager. After we left Aruba and came home, I went back on LinkedIn and I found the regional manager because I figured, oh, they must report into that person. And I got their information and I wrote them an email to say thank you and to sing my praises about all the wonderful people at the Ritz-Carlton Aruba that helped me. And like, it was just awesome. They all wrote back saying how kind it was that I did that. And we just had the best start to our relationship, I think.
And yet we never went back.
I know, but like, we should go back. Our friend was just there. Jen was just there.
I know, but it's far.
I know, but it's the Happy Island. Did you know that's one Happy Island or something like that? Yeah, it was. I mean, we had a great time.
Yeah, it was great. So then we get home. So we've been, dating a week? We go to a movie. We rescue a cat that we found half dying. It was a kitten. We thought was dying. Yeah, Annabelle.
Well, we went and saw Annabelle Comes Home, the movie. And when we came out, there was this kitten, like in a bush, dying. Like, it was covered in blood. It was like, Meow. And so, of course, I'm like, I need to save this.
We thought it had one eye.
Yeah, we thought it had one eye, but it was because it was like infected. Your friend Bridget, our friend Bridget, was like, just let it live. Let it do its thing.
No, she didn't say let it live. She goes, just let it die in peace.
Yeah, she's like, let nature take its course. I'm like, absolutely not. So we get oh my gosh, at this point, I was wearing your favorite sweatshirt. Mm-hmm. You had this favorite sweatshirt. I was wearing it. And you were like, well, you got to get the cat. And so I'm like, okay. So I take the sweatshirt off and I use it to pick up this like cat
full of fleas.
Oh gosh,
awful.
We brought it to the vet and it was late at night. There was all these people waiting. We walk in and they say, I'm like, we need to save this cat. And they're like, okay, you got to sign these forms. And they're like, are you going to assume all financial responsibility? And I'm like, well, what does that mean? And like, well, we don't know. We got to examine the cat first to figure out like what's wrong with it and we'll let you know how much it's going to cost. And I was like, well, how much is it going to cost for you to tell me how much it's going to cost? And they were like, $90. And I was like, okay, well, I'll assume that's financial responsibility, but like, let's get there first. And so
turned out she was totally fine. We brought her to the vet.
Yeah.
Got her a little flea.
They did it all for free too.
Yeah.
They said we were such nice people to save her. And it was really cool.
And then like a week after that, well, it was more like 2 weeks after that, my lease was coming up in my apartment. So we ended up moving in together. I think we moved in together like a month after.
Maybe it was like 2 months.
Okay, maybe
exaggerate.
2. But for a while.
Maybe 3.
I had 2 dogs.
Maybe 4.
No, it was not. We met in May and moved in like June, July.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I had my 2 dogs, you had the dog, and we had the cat. So when we'd go to each other's houses, we would literally load up all these fucking animals, 3 dogs and a cat, and like go back and forth between our apartments. It was crazy. And then one time I actually got pulled over because I used to take this illegal turn up on Mulholland Drive every day going to SoulCycle. And I took it every day. It was no big deal. And then one day I got pulled over by a bitch in the bushes. This cop was on foot.
She was.
Like, why did I stop?
Like, I mean, everyone was stopping. We took a corner and like there was just like these cars. It was looking weird. And then next thing you know, she runs out and she's like, puts her hands up.
I'm like, what? And she goes, you took an illegal turn. And I was like, oh, what? I didn't even see that don't turn sign. And she's like, oh my God, look at all these animals. And I go, yeah, they're all rescues. And mind you, the 2 golden doodles are not rescues. But
she was like, oh yeah, they're so cute. Here's your ticket.
And she was like, yeah, I'm going to go write your ticket. I'm like, you fucking bitch. She was angry.
Well, you know, it was good that you moved in quickly because not that much longer after, we're talking 2019, was the pandemic. And we were living together, thankfully, already. So that really helped us. And, you know, there's so much more to the story about like how quickly our relationship evolved and our crazy engagement, which like we'll save. We need more material for future episodes to tell everyone. Like, let's not give all of it away right now. But we were living together, and I just remember us being in the apartment, and nothing was open except for these like fish stores or these like animal stores, and they had fish. And then I was just thriving, writing, like feeling so alive in the pandemic, like having to sit there and get shit done. On the other hand,
I had just finished Tiger King, so there was nothing left to fucking do.
Except go buy fish. We had like 7 fish tank in our house.
Well, because the only thing open was pet stores because they were considered essential. So I was so fucking bored.
I looked at you. I was like, you need to figure out something to do. And that's when you were like, well, you know, I have my horses back in Minnesota and I should go get them because, you know, I could ride them each day.
Well, I just thought because we've been stranded inside, that, yeah, if I bring the horses out here, that it's an outdoor activity. It's something to do. It felt like the world was never coming back, and it was like there was no light at the end of the tunnel. So I was like, this would be a great idea. Hindsight, it was a fucking terrible idea.
No, it wasn't.
Yes,
it was. We went and got the horses.
No, it was a terrible. Let me explain why it's a terrible idea. It is so fucking expensive.
Yeah.
I was paying more. We were paying twice as much to board horses than we were paying for rent.
Yeah.
There's fires all the time. I downloaded this app. Like, you hear about the big fires on the news. There are fires all the time. And
Yeah, but you know what? Like, this is actually hysterical because this is this is how we started with the podcast. It's been a week. Like, you can sit there and complain about it, or you can actually talk about how it was awesome.
It wasn't.
It was awesome.
Oh, not. Let me finish why it wasn't. And so then I'm to ask the lady, I go, well, what do you do when there's a fire? And she goes, well, we just let them go. And your name is and phone number is on their halter. Hopefully someone gets them. I'm like, what? Excuse me?
Yeah, that's what happens. But also, like,
well, that's not a positive thing.
No, but like there is something to choose around it. You were able to ride. You were able to get back into something you love. You were able to go and start racing again. And frankly, it's what got us to move to Texas because you needed to have a place where you could have these horses with you. We couldn't buy the house that we tried to buy in LA.
Yeah, terrible idea.
No, I mean, like, there's humor in everything, right? Like laughter, as my friend Susan would say, laughter is the best medicine. And you can find humor in all of this. We tried buying a house north of LA for you to have these horses at. The guy couldn't sell it to us because he'd been in some Ponzi scheme with Kirstie Alley and the Church of Scientology, stole all this money from these people to make a movie they never made. He had a $17 million judgment on his house. He couldn't sell the house to us. We found ourselves in all these like situations with your friend Sean trying to help us and Deb's friend, who's a big real estate attorney, trying to help us. Long story short, we had to find another house to live. There was nothing to buy in California because, yes, you're right. It's either was on fire, it had already burned, or was on the side of a mountain. And so you called a friend in Texas and said, do you know a real estate agent?
Yeah, no, I called my one friend and I said, hey, because I had a few horse people friends in Texas. And I was like, hey, do you know any real estate agents? And he goes, oh my God, my best friend's a real estate agent. And I was like, okay, great. So he made the introduction on like a Monday. We talked to her that
okay,
let me tell this part of the story. Like, you need to stop talking for a minute. Take a breath. So I reach out to my friend.
I thought this podcast was a half an hour.
We've already exceeded a half hour.
I know, so I'm trying to speed it up.
Well, if you shut the fuck up. So I call my friend. Do you know a real estate agent? And he goes, oh my God, my best friend is a real estate agent. I said, okay, great. And I was like, I'll call her next week. And then I was like, I'm just going to fucking call her now. So I call her and I said, hey, this is what we're looking for. This is what we want. Here's our budget. And she goes, okay, I know of a house coming in the market today. It literally sounds like everything you guys want. It sounds perfect. And I go, great. Let us know. She goes there that afternoon, FaceTimes and like sends us videos. And we're like, holy shit, this is amazing. And we both were like, I think this is it. So we put an offer in, and the real estate agent was like, okay, they're waiting till the weekend to look at all the offers or whatever. And after all, we needed to find a house like ASAP.
We were supposed to have moved.
Yeah, like our shit was in boxes. We had given our notice on our apartment, like everything, all the wheels were in motion. Like, we needed a house. So AJ wrote this cheesy ass letter that was literally like, we didn't know what boxes need to be checked until we saw your home. I'm like, I'm going to throw up.
It was an positively emotional letter around some of the adversity that we had faced and us hoping that this house was going to help to solve some of the problems.
Right. So we begged that, we're like, please beg them to just read the letter, whatever. So they do, like, it's a bunch of back and forth, and they finally read the letter and they're like, okay, we'll sell you the house.
Literally, like, we begged them. It was that day we turned it in. We begged our real estate agent to beg their real estate agent. They read the letter. And then the next day, we literally bought the house.
We were under contract. And
mind you, we'd only seen this house on FaceTime.
But we knew we had like a 2-week period that we could back out and we'd only lose like $400 or something. So we were like, okay, let's fly out for the home inspection. We can see the place. If we hate it, like we'll get out. And then I told the real estate agent, can we line up some other houses to look at just so like, you know, we're not just coming out here and buying the first one we see, even though we're already under contract with the first one we saw. And we came out, I think we saw this house first. And we were like, oh my, this is it, like for sure. But we still were.
It really was incredible. Like, talk about manifesting something. You wanted a long driveway. It had a long driveway. The pool that you wanted to put in at the other house that you had someone draw pictures of was literally the pool that they had just put in at this house.
Yeah.
Like, there was all these things that just manifested from what we thought we were going to have in California, but actually showed up here at this house in Texas.
And we went and looked at a few other houses and we were like, no, they're not the ones. So we buy this house and we fly back to LA. We load everything up. We get in a fucking U-Haul and drive our asses out here.
Thank you, Joy. Shout out to Joy, who helped us move in the last pinch of a COVID situation.
U-Haul, like a day before we're supposed to leave, I called. I'm like, hey, so just confirming we're coming to pick up the truck tomorrow. And they go, oh yeah, we don't have it. And I go, excuse me? And they go, yeah, we don't have it. And I'm like, what do you mean? I've made this reservation like 2 months ago. And they're like, yeah, it doesn't really work that way. It's like a first come, first serve basis. I'm like, what? So long story short, after scrambling, we find a Penske.
Yeah, and by the way, U-Haul.
Fuck you.
No, Ben. But also, what's really funny is if we go back to the emails, I probably have like 20 emails to U-Haul with their grievance person or whatever you would call it around how we were treated so badly. And that woman played us like so badly. She just kept not answering me. So like eventually it fell off. And let's talk about it's been a week and something that should change in the world. When you have customer service and you do people wrong, like don't hire people and tell them to just avoid people because eventually it'll fall off. Because yeah, that actually does happen. It doesn't change anything. And it actually makes a lot of shitty energy in the world. All the woman had to do was be like, we screwed up. Here's $100 gift card or something to your next use, which we never would have even used. But it would have just like settled the situation so much better. And now I still have frustration around it. So I'm going to move on from here. But yeah.
Yep.
So
fucking U-Haul.
2025 customer service needs to actually be a little bit better about finding real resolution to problems for people instead of just causing more frustration in the world.
Yeah, don't be a cunt. So then we end up getting a Penske truck, but a Penske truck, they don't have the option where you can pull your car behind it.
Correct.
Or have a trailer or any.
But it was amazing that you actually found that truck. So I think you had to drive like 2 hours to go get it.
Yeah, so I get the truck and then we need to get because I was driving the horse trailer. So I had the truck and trailer with the horses.
And we had movers hired that were coming to like move our stuff.
AJ had the Penske truck and then we needed someone to drive the car. So last minute, we got our friend Joy. She drove the car, which I think Joy had a little different expectations of what the road trip was going to be. Because I was like, we're hauling ass and getting there. And I think Joy thought we were going to maybe sightsee.
Oh my God. And you had me drive the truck and it had a gator on it.
Governor
on it. And the truck would only go like 40 miles an hour. And if we were going up a hill, like it was like, it would barely go up the hill. And Ben's flying, Joy's in the BMW, flying past me, waving. I can't get up the freaking hill. Yeah.
But we made it to Texas and we've been here now for 4 years.
I mean, we moved all our stuff, the 3 horses, the 3 dogs, the cat. I had Annabelle with me in the truck, if I remember correctly. Your fish. No, the fish. Did the fish come? No, the fish came.
The fish tank came empty.
Yeah.
And I got the fish tank set up and then they overnighted all the fish from LA here.
Yeah.
Which cost a fortune. I was not planning on that. But they're here. So we've been here for 4 years. We have a shit ton of animals. We've got about 70 animals now.
I feel like we'll have to do a follow-up episode on like what happened after we got here.
Yeah,
because it took us the whole episode to get here.
Yeah. That's why here now we've got dogs, cats, horses, a pig, a mini cow, mini donkey, chickens, 1 duck, koi pond, fish tank, a parrot. So it's a whole farm here, but we've been living here for about 4 years. And let me tell you, coming from West Hollywood to Texas is it's a something. So that is what's going to be talked about here on this podcast is going to be the daily life, the grind, because we still go back to LA often. We're actually looking at getting our condo in LA this spring. So we'll be splitting our time between LA and Texas. But this podcast is going to be the shit that goes on every week between, trying to be an actor in LA, being a barrel racer in Texas, AJ running his own business, being a photographer, and dealing with just the fucking bullshit.
And me in the background, hopefully trying to bring some
and AJ trying to bring
joy to this podcast. I really hope anyone listening, I said to Ben, I think it'd be fun if he just brought me on occasionally when he has other guests, and like maybe I could be a little voice of reason, or try to just add a different color to the situation.
Yeah, but I might have to mute that mic every once in a while.
Hey.
Jesus.
Listen, the next time we come on,
doing is listening.
But the reality is, the story we shared today is a very important one because it's what got us to where we're at. It got us together. I mean, there's so much more inside of us getting together. Our engagement.
The neighbor trying to break both my legs. We got plenty of material, so don't you worry. So, AJ, thank you for being on the very first episode of It's Been a Week. It's going to be a ride. There's going to be a lot of shit we got to share.
I agree. I mean, it's just been a week watching you get this podcast launched, but I have to say, I'm proud of you. I know people are very proud of you. I know everyone's really excited to listen to you. You are extremely funny. It's one of the things that first made me fall in love with you, and I know that it's the thing that makes you the happiest when you think about all your amazing talents. You're so funny. You have so much to offer to the world, so I'm really proud of you. I can't wait to see how this thing blossoms, and I just hope that you have me back to talk more with everyone.
If you'd like to be on the podcast again, you're going to have to go to itsbeenaweek.com, scroll down to the bottom, and fill out the form and tell me why you should be on the next episode.
It's been a week.
All right,
It's been a week.
There you go. Sing a little tune to end this.
Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. No.
Thank you, everyone. It's been a week, and I will see you next Tuesday. What is up, everyone? I have a question for you. Have you ever done something so wild, so hilarious, or so ridiculous that your friends are still talking about it? Do you have a story that happened to you this week that are going to leave jaws on the floor? Well, here's your chance to tell it on It's Been a Week. Head over to itsbeenaweek.com, scroll down to the bottom, and let me know why you should be the next guest. Bring me the drama, the chaos, and the laughs. I want it all. No story is too crazy, no perspective too bold, and nothing is off limits. So, let's pour a martini, spill the tea, and make a conversation to remember. Submit now, and I cannot wait to talk to you soon.